You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible.
In Minneapolis, federal civil rights charges filed against the 4 cops who killed George Floyd. Huge. We of course, had that coming down. The 3-count unsealed indictment accuses Derek Chauvin, Thomas Lane, Jay King, and Tou Thao of willfully violating George Floyd's constitutional rights as he was restrained face down on the pavement and calling for his mother. Chauvin is charged with unreasonable force by a police officer. Thao and Kueng are facing charges of violating Floyd's right to be free from unreasonable seizure, and all 4 officers are charged for failure to provide Floyd with medical care. Chauvin, of course, is also charged in the 2017 arrest and neck restraint of a 14-year-old boy in an unrelated indictment. This kid is critically important because, again, what people don't understand, there's a very high threshold that the DOJ has to file civil rights charges.
Absolutely. And this shows you that the DOJ is on the right track. Look at what they did already with Ahmaud Arbery and the shooters in that case, bringing hate crimes against them. Joe Biden said when he got into office that he was going to make these crimes, these racial injustice crimes at the top of his list. And he is doing his job. They are very busy, very stealthily. They got together a grand jury together to get together these indictments. I think what's interesting to note that is that you have these civil rights charges, not only just this one case, but like you said, a case from years ago having to do with Derek Chauvin and a 14-year-old who was handled in the exact same manner that George Floyd was handled. One caveat here, and that is Thomas Lane. He was not indicted on all of the charges that his co-conspirators on some of the other levels were charged with, because when he was at the scene, he, at the very least, even though he didn't medically intervene, he did say twice, this is not looking good. Shouldn't we turn him over? Derek Chauvin said, no, that's not an issue. And he's going to argue, because I was training under Derek Chauvin, I've only been on the force for 4 days, I'm not going to be held as liable, or I shouldn't be held as liable. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how this unfolds with Chauvin and his co-conspirators.
This, of course, is important because there were very few, a lot of others of these cases, Brittany, very few times civil rights charges were filed against cops.
Absolutely. I'm really glad that they've been indicted. I think failing to do so would certainly not be justice. And several of those officers are guilty. They did nothing to stop him, Roland. Not only did they not stop him from the excessive force that ended up in Floyd losing his life, but once they realized he was no longer moving or breathing, they didn't even offer him medical aid. This was just a complete disregard for human life in this situation. And if nothing else, I hope that it sends a message to other officers that there's potential for them to be held accountable if their fellow officers are committing a crime, or they are completely indifferent when someone, even if that someone is a potential criminal, is in the need of medical assistance. And, when I think about holding officers accountable, it makes me think about how the criminal justice system is constantly changing. Hearing about this made me think about the case in Buffalo with Officer Horn in 2006. She did do the right thing by stopping a fellow officer from using a chokehold, potentially saving someone's life. And she had been an officer for 19 years and was fired after that incident. And she only recently, and I mean this year, was reinstated. It was largely due to the outcome of Floyd's death and the Chauvin trial. So, I hope we continue to see the right type of changes going on in the criminal justice system, because folks need to be held accountable. And those quote unquote good apples that folks are always arguing, or that are in the police force, they need to continue to step up and make sure that no more lives are lost.
Michael.
Yeah, it's good that the federal charges are coming. And in reading about this case, you have in the case of Chauvin charged with, they were saying George Floyd should be free from unreasonable force by police. We know that federal civil rights charges is a high bar to reach. But in a case like this, they should actually do it. And it sounded like from the charges filed, they were being more creative than normal. in being able to file these charges as well. And that's the difference between the Merrick Garland Department of Justice and the William Barr or the Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III Department of Justice. And not only do you have these charges, go ahead. Not only do you have these charges, but you also had two investigations to the patterns and practices of police departments announced in 5 days under Merrick Garland, and you only have one investigation in 4 years under the Trump Department of Justice.
And that's also what you get for all these people out here who are whining and complaining, saying, Roland, why did you support Biden and Harris against Trump? This is why, idiots. This is why voting matters. For all you idiots out there, let me say it right now. For all of you, let me be real clear. For all of you dumbasses who are sitting here saying, oh, my goodness, Biden, Harris versus Trump. This is why. Because a Donald Trump Department of Justice would not have announced an investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department, an investigation into the Louisville Police Department. They would not be pursuing civil rights charges against these 4 officers. And so for all you stuck on stupid people who want to act like somehow it made no sense who we voted for, this is why you vote, you idiots.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.